Welcome to Galactic Grandmother, Heart to Heart. My name is April, and my special guest today is Carol Noonan, also known as SOMA ARAH. SOMA is a psychic medium. She channels the Pleiadians. She's a shaman. She assists police in the UK, Ireland, and the United States to find missing persons. She is an author, which I'll hold up her book here, The Pleiadianchild, which is a big book. It's, what is it? It's it's 300 and some pages. And besides documenting her personal traumatic childhood, she also channels the Pleiadians at the back, almost half of the book. And it's very interesting. It's available on Amazon, and I would recommend it. SOMA offers courses and counseling and readings via Skype internationally. And I just am so pleased to have her with me again. Welcome, Soma. How are you doing?
Thank you. Thank you, April. I'm just so looking forward to connecting with you.
Oh.
And it's always a pleasure. And I love your energy, and I love your work and what you do.
We're sisters. Sisters at heart.
We contracted ourselves to be here. You know, where the time on Earth at the moment is so, it is beyond anything we've known before. In the way that we're experiencing it. We've had similar times like Lemuria and Atlantis, but not in the way we're having it now. It's epic and it's beautiful, and but it's a crumbling of the old ways, the old worlds, the old everything, the old dying draconian energies that are clinging on for dear life to ownership of the earth, and it's, you can't stop the new earth. It's like trying to gather water in your hands.
Now, when you speak of the new earth, are you talking about a new higher frequency that we embody here on this planet? Okay, we're not.
Yeah, I think so. But I think at the same time that because one of the informations they downloaded to me was that I think the next half of this, I think the rest of this year, there's going to be a lot of changes collectively, individually. There's going to be a lot of star seeds that are having major changes and shifts, because I do feel, you know, over the last couple of months, I've been experiencing a lot of, it's like I'm in 2 or 3 places at the same time, but it's not to do with parallel timelines. It's more to do with, I've been in the past, present, and future of my own past lives and future lives, which is slightly parallel timelines.
That's a multi-dimensional.
And I think that is a real thing. I think that is very much to do, and very much to do with the new earth, and I feel it's very connected to the shift and the new earth, where we're moving into a new frequency. And I think that we are experiencing that now, because we are the first wave, or the second wave, or the third wave, but the first wave being the way showers. So we get to experience things first in order to help grow, to share, in order to understand the experience. We get to experience things first to be able to share it with others, to explain it with others, to help others to understand things. So I went into the garden. I had a lovely big communal garden at the time. It was huge, and some beautiful trees in it. So I went and I thought, okay, so I went and meditated in the garden, and ended up doing a download from the Pleiadians that included quite a lot of information. And one of the things they said around that time was that there would be, I remember it being January, so I'm not sure if it was 2019. I think it probably must have been. It must have been, yeah. So 2019, they said, a very intense beam of light hitting the earth at the time, and it would become so intense and intensified and intensified and intensified that it would cause the earth to split into two earths, and one would raise into a higher frequency, into a higher awareness, and the other would stay where it was, or it would drop into an even lower frequency, a lower vibration, a lower energy. So that is how they explained to me that the two earths would be brought into reality, or become real, through this intense energy that was hitting the earth at the time, like huge. I just see a beam of light coming down, a bit like a torch, but really intense, where the earth could not withstand that intense amount of energy that was being. So that was how they explained the new earth. So that is one understanding that I have, but I do think that it's frequency, it's energy, and I think we are changing. Our DNA is changing, our skin, our blood, our hair, our teeth, our bones, our cells,
Definitely.
our DNA. We are changing into new humans. We are becoming a new human, a new species, a crystalline, a more sacred, more in touch, more in tune, more intuitive, more, we're moving into a higher frequency, a higher state of being. And I know that one of the things that's become very obvious to me with my partner, we are very telepathic with each other these days, where we can, we hear each other's words, you know. And we probably always have done, but that is becoming much more profound. We can, we communicate telepathically while looking at each other, like that is real. So that is not, that is in no way restricted to me and him. Right. That is collective. That is a shift in energy where we are moving into a much higher frequency, a divine state of being, where we know who we are, why we're here, where we're from, what our missions are. We know the BS that's going on. We see it for what it is. And those negative ET energy systems that are run, those negative systems on Earth, like the political, like the medicinal companies, all of the systems on Earth, in my understanding, are run by negative ET energy. And in order for us to move forward, they need to crumble, they need to come down. But I give value to them, I give thanks to them, because it was a negative agenda that kick-started a huge movement towards ascension. Because without the release of all of the events that started in 2019, without those events, we wouldn't be here today, because they've propelled us forward. I wouldn't have done it otherwise. It propelled me forward, and I know that I'm not alone in that. You know, there's so many of us that it moved us forward. It ignited us, almost like a key, like keys being given to us, where it propelled us to open doors and move forward and press the button on the lift and say, this is not okay. Time to move forward, time to gather, time to come together, time to unite, time to remember the natives and our ancestors, whether it's through blood ancestors in this lifetime or previous lifetimes. It's time to acknowledge those ancestors and information and sacred wisdom, and how the elders used to. Time to get back to love of the earth, love of nature, love of our connection to the stars and who we are and why we're here and where we came from.
After reading your book, and if you don't mind, I'll just jump right into your book, The Pleiadianchild. How long ago did you write that book?
I started in, I think it was 2009, 2010. Well, actually, let me go back to the beginning, because I was living in London with my ex-husband, and I was in a very unhappy marriage, and I began to write, and these kind of words would come to me and I would write them down. And then I left my husband and moved to Lewisburg in Ireland, to a tiny little place, and began to actually channel the Pleiadians consciously, and then realized that the writing I'd been doing in London was the Pleiadians as well. I was very close to them when I was channeling them in Lewisburg, which was a very remote part of a very remote part of Ireland on the coast, a beautiful, beautiful area. And I had quite a rundown house there, but it was very large, and it was a minute walk to the sea, which is why I took it. And such a beautiful place, and the energy there was very high. And it was one of those beaches in Ireland where there are no tourists, because it's so off the beaten track that no one would go there. But it's beautiful. And so I had some amazing, very spiritual, profound experiences there when I began to channel them consciously. And then I went on to do shamanic courses, where I began to have memories of having connected to them as a child. And also in past life, in previous lifetimes, I've had lifetimes on some of the Pleiades star systems, star system. So, but one of the experiences that's really coming to mind, actually there's a few of them, is they woke me up. I think it was 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's Ashtar that I mostly channel. And they woke me up, and I could see them physically, like I see you. Normally they stood behind me, kind of to my center, and then slightly to the left. And Ashtar was there with other Pleiadians, and they woke me up and they said, go to the beach. And I'm not a morning person. I've never been a morning person. But this particular morning, they woke me up, and I said, oh, really, do I have to? Like, can I just not lay in bed and sleep? And they said, no, you have to get up and you have to come to the beach. So I did that, 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was light. It was pretty light enough to see. It wasn't dark, and I think it must have been summertime. I'm not sure now, but I went to the beach and I had this beautiful experience where there was thousands of Pleiadians on the beach, thousands of them, and each one or two, there was like 1 or 2 people all together, and you could tell that they were kind of in groups. And this went on for as far as I could see. And they each had a ship, a small ship, and they were stood next to the ship, and it was just such a beautiful experience. I'm so glad I went. Yeah. The other thing that's coming to mind, April, about my book is that recently they've been reminding me a lot of the message they gave me years ago, and I can't even remember when they first said it. But it's in my book, and it's about the 2 sons. And the message was, or the download was, word for word, was, there will come a day in your lifetime, in my lifetime, where there will be what will appear to be 2 suns in the sky. And I'm so thankful to myself that I had the sense to record it into my book, because some of the messages I haven't recorded yet, or written down, or put into book form, or taken recorded in some way. But there have been reports now of two suns appearing in the sky, or what appears to be two suns in the sky, recorded on video, and I think that's been in China. I think it's China. I think it's been in several different places around the Earth. But lately they've been reminding me of it a lot. So I feel that either something has happened recently with the two suns, or it's still to come, you know.
So is this part of predictions that they've given you about what will happen here on Earth? Having a second sun show up?
I guess you could say at the time it was a prediction. I forget what year it was now. I think it was well, it must have been after 2009. It must have been after that.
Mhm.
Of course it would have, yeah, would have been after 2009. But yeah, they have said a lot of predictions. They predicted this year, early on this year, that the 4th month and the 6th month would be important, and those have come to pass now. The 6th month, there was a video shared on the internet about an alien that looks genuine, and I'm pretty sure that in one of my sessions that they confirmed that that was a genuine connection or genuine experience. And it was a guy, I believe, in Mexico, where he was filming an alien that looked quite shocked or scared or nervous, and had become aware of something that he was seeing. I believe it was genuine. So one of the other things that they've said to me this year is that there will be, actually they downloaded it over the last couple of years. They had downloaded information about the alien and stroke UFO experiences. They said that there would be a genuine UFO landing and also a fake one. And they said that, and even more than that, you know, that there would be a kind of a string of them. And they said that we would have to be very discerning about which was which, and that anything reported through the mainstream media is most likely to be faked. And anything that is kind of in social media but is not going viral or not being widely shared is more likely to be genuine. So that I feel that is the way to be discerning, because I think with everything that is, you know, the war between light and dark at the moment is pretty intense, to say the least. And I think there are also a lot of light workers like us that are being targeted kind of more intensely. So we need to look at things with and be more discerning than ever.
Right. I recently got that same message in meditation that between now and the end of year, my biggest lesson would be in discernment. So, you know, we had tried this, doing this interview previously, and there were some technical issues, so we couldn't publish it. But at that time, you were very much involved in the Cosmic Starseed Academy. How is that going for you?
That is going really well, really well. The reason for me setting that up is to connect starseeds together, to unite, to come together, to share, to grow, to learn, to experience, to share who they are, where they are, you know, their mission, their information, their teachings, their knowledge, their gifts, their books, their voices, their microphones, but, you know, doing interviews, really to connect starseeds. Because I think, you know, I think we're done with trying to wake people up. Now it's about uniting and uniting and being part of our tribe, and the lion energy is very much part of that, which I do see in you quite a lot. That strength, that warrior spirit, that fire in the belly, that roar, the spark, and also your divine feminine energy. I see that comes across to me quite a lot as well. So the Cosmic Starseeds Academy, that's why I set that up, is to connect starseeds together, and that's going really well. And within that frame, I also do a free monthly channeling, where I do a live channeling in that group.
Wow.
And Pleiadian channeling. So I really look forward to that every month.
Now, is that on Facebook? How can people become a part of that?
That is, yes, Facebook. You can go to a group called the Cosmic Starseed Academy, and you will find a link there somewhere, or you can email me at thepleiadianchild@hotmail.com. My website is down at the moment, but I've been working on that in the background, so that will be re-released over the next couple of months. But if you want to be part of the free monthly group, then probably the best thing to do would be to email me at thepleiadianchild@hotmail.com.
Now, speaking of the Pleiadians, you were quite young, weren't you, when they actually made you feel loved and part of the star family? Isn't that?
Yeah. I've come to feel that I actually had such a beautiful childhood. I really did. That it wasn't perfect, and it was extremely traumatic. But then because of that, I had these amazing, beautiful, out of this world experiences that without the trauma I would not have had. That trauma helped me open the doors to other realities, to the Pleiadians. So I have to give thanks to it, to those negative experiences, because without them, I would not be on the path that I have been since, a young age. So that is one of the reasons I talk about it so much. And the older I get, the less I want to talk about the trauma and negative experience, but to see the positive in it, to take the positive from it, because I do believe that everything that we experience, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, all of it, time is an illusion. It's kind of been drawn out, but everything is happening now. So all of those experiences are perfect, and it helped it was for my soul development. And I don't think I'm different to anyone else in any way. My experiences might have been slightly different, but so going back to when I was 8, I had a guy lying on top of me, and I was a tiny little thing. I was skin and bone and underfed and undernourished, to the point where my mum actually took me to the doctor. It was a rare occurrence. And he looked at her, and he looked at me, and he looked back at her, and he said, "You need to feed her. You need to feed her." And I think that was a changing point for me. Stood at the doctors watching this stranger who I didn't know, who I didn't believe I could trust until he said those words. And then I realized that things at home were not normal, were not okay. It kind of gave me a wake-up call being at the doctors, where a stranger here, because I learned to distrust strangers, especially men. So that was an eye-opener for me. So anyway, I had this guy lying on top of me who was my mum's boyfriend, called Bill, who was an alcoholic, I believe, drank a huge amount, and he stunk of whiskey. And I could not breathe, like I was skin and bone, and I really couldn't breathe. And I left my body and connected to the Pleiadians, or they to me. And at the same time, I could see my brother in the hallway that was behind me. And my mum as well was in the kitchen. So I was aware, or I was out of body, and I was aware of my surroundings. But anyway, that was one of the first times that I consciously remember now, where they came to me and they said, this will only last a minute or two and you'll be fine. Because I could see what was in the man's mind. And I didn't really understand sex at the time. I was, I didn't really understand it, strangely enough, even with the abuse. But I could see his thoughts and see what was coming next, but then I could see during the experience my brother in the hallway, and I could see my mum in the kitchen, and my brother came in and pulled him off me. And then my mum came in after that, a few minutes or seconds later, and started to hit my brother, because my brother was hitting this man, or her boyfriend. And my mum didn't understand why my brother was hitting her boyfriend, because she didn't see the previous few minutes. She only came in when my brother was hitting Bill. So she started attacking my brother. But that my childhood was, the older I get, the more I realize how beautiful it was and how unusual it was. I mean, I've always known it. It wasn't normal. None of my anything has been normal, even my birth. But the older I get, the more I appreciate the negative experiences, and I see a real parallel between them of what we're going through now and the negative agenda, and it's sparking off the ascension. That's those those traumatic experiences that I had really sparked my awareness. And I also had one when I was 12 with Jesus that I never told anyone until I think it was 2004. And I was born in 1974. But when I was 12, I had this experience of I was going to commit suicide. I was done. I had been abused by a Bill, actually two Bills, two different people. I'd been abused by my stepfather. I'd been, I think that was before. No, that was, I think that was after the rape or before the rape. But anyway, I'd been raped as a child and became pregnant, and I was just done. It wasn't a call for help. I wasn't in the hospital. I wasn't on any medication. I wasn't on the operating table. I was done. I wanted out. Didn't want to talk to anyone. Didn't want to see anyone. I was just done. I was deciding on taking tablets, and I was in my bedroom on a mattress because I didn't have a bed, and I was retching my heart out. I was crying, snot and tears, and not a pretty picture. And I was 12, and so I wanted out. And the next thing I knew, I was asleep. So the next thing I knew, I was above the door on the right-hand side, and I was looking down on my body. And I had this whole experience about 3 or 4 hours with Jesus, where he came to me, or I met up with him. A very profound out-of-body experience that will stay with me for an eternity, not just this lifetime. But he brought that experience and his words and his, he showed me, I'm trying to look for a better word than things, but he explained to me experiences, and everything I was going through was perfect for my soul's alignment. And it took him a while, because I'm not a quick learner. It takes me a while to really get things, because I like to understand things maybe on a deeper or a higher level. I don't like surface stuff. I want to go deep. So that experience really changed everything for me. I mean, I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell my family. I put it in my book, but I've never spoken to my family about it. So when I came back after about 3 or 4 hours, I was blissful. I'd gone from being distraught and wanting to end my own life because I was just in so much pain emotionally, to the opposite spectrum of being blissful, like in just blissful. It's the only way I can describe it. I was blissful for about 3 or 4 weeks, and that bliss gradually ebbed away, but it left me with a very deep understanding that my experience was perfect. It was beautiful, and everything in my life was perfect. So that really was, that changed a lot for me, because I was still, being abused. I was still in the same environment. I was still, nothing had changed externally, but everything was internal. I had switched, I had changed, I had a deeper awareness, a deeper understanding. It was a great experience for me. It was life-changing. And I didn't go to school after that. And I tried to a few times, but instead I would meditate in my room. I stayed in my room for practically from 12 to 16, reading and meditating. And I didn't know that's what it was called, but I would sit on the floor with knees crossed and back straight and close my eyes. And I guess I was trying to re-enter that space or connection with Jesus. So I would stay in my room, and I was reading books by Dolores, I think it was Stokes or Strokes, and not Eckhart Tolle, Edgar Casey. Thank you, Edgar Casey. And I was reading those types of books and meditating and just being, in my own space. And I think I really understood, because of that experience, I stopped looking. And I only realized this the other day, but because of that experience, I also stopped looking to anything outside of me or for help, because up until that point, I had been asking for help. I'd been asking teachers, and there was I'd been sent to a psychologist or a psychiatrist when I was very young, and my mum left the room, and I asked her for help, and she laughed at me. She did, yeah. It was beyond her scope of her workload. She wasn't there to do that. And I think it was a nervous laughter, but she did laugh and say, well, talk to your mum about it or something. So I did reach out to help to other people, or teachers and things like that. But then when I had that experience, I stopped looking outside of myself. I just had a different perspective, a different viewpoint, I really stepped into, I stepped into myself then, I think, and just had a very different perspective and understanding of the world and things, and realized that there was no one going to save me, and I just had to ride the waves, which is, it's, a lot of my childhood, I can see lessons in it that I can use today with everything that's going on, just to ride the waves and to not trust anything outside of myself.
I see you as having transmuted all of those traumatic experiences into love, you come through it, and now you're just this beautiful being of love, and able to not only help others, but you've integrated your own experiences to the point that I'm sure your soul knew you would before this incarnation. But so much of what we go through, we are not able to see the reasons why until later, when we're healed and where you are now. And then to be able to say what a beautiful experience is, just wonderful. It's a wonderful example for others that might be going through it now or who haven't reached that stage yet, that they will come out on the other end. Just have to keep working on it.
And one of the things that that really saved me during my childhood is my experiences, is my connection to Jesus, is the experiences with the fairies and the nature spirits and my spirit guides and my past life memories. And I think that was such a gift to me. Here I was with this traumatic childhood on in a very 3D earth environment, a negative environment. And then I had these spiritual experiences that were profound, to say the least. And it also it saved me. Those experiences definitely saved me. But I take my hat off to people that have gone through similar experiences to my own, and they haven't had that, April. I have no idea how they get through that without. I had a saving grace,
Right.
you know, or several of them. I had divine intervention for sure. I admire them hugely because I feel that they are a lot stronger than I am, because I would not have got through those experiences without the experiences that I did, without the Jesus and without Pleiadians and without my guides. And I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have, I know I wouldn't have, you know. So I really take my hat off to people who've had trauma in that, you know, been abused or had trauma in childhood, because I feel that I know that they're a lot stronger than me.
Now, you obviously have a very special connection to Jesus, Yeshua. Do you recall that you had an incarnation when he was here doing his mission?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I love Jesus. I really do. I do have a special connection to him. And I'm sure there's a lot of information that I haven't seen yet, but I have been shown a past life with him where I was one of the Essenes. I just love Jesus. And it's not Jesus in the Bible, because
Right,
that is not who he was,
right.
you know.
I also, in fact, I wrote a short book about my past life with Jesus. And I started out as a Jewish man, a silversmith, living a very good life. When Jesus came to speak on the Mount, I became just transfixed. I had to follow him, and I did follow him. At the end of my life, I did live out the rest of my life after his passing, or with the Essenes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is just beautiful. Like, I really feel that energy. Well, the Catholic Church really puts Jesus on a pedestal.
Mhm.
And I also came to realize that they you know, the Catholic Church teaches that Jesus is unobtainable, that he's up there, and only the holiest of holy and the saints and the priests and godly people within the churches, or Catholic Church anyway, has
Access to,
thank you. Yes. And that is not the way, you know. Jesus comes to those who need him. He comes to those who he's connected to. And there was a lot of Essenes, you know, there was a lot of us, April. Since I was an early child, I've had past life memories. And sometimes as I've got older, my everything has increased. My awareness, my intuition, my understanding, my experiences, everything has grown. We grow and develop and learn and mature and understand. And so, and I'm talking about telepathy as well, but the older I've got, the more easier it has been for me to recognize people from past lives, but also I'm more accepting of it now than I used to be. And these days I tend to recognize people instantly. Like I just know them. I just know them, and I don't even question it anymore.
Right.
Because I used to question myself a lot, and now I don't even ask those questions of myself anymore. I just accept, well, I know that person.
I see you. It's almost as if you're sinking into your inner core of multi-dimensionality, which is within the quantum field, within the field of infinite possibilities. So everything that you're speaking about is real within this space that you're in. And I really think that that's why we're here, oftentimes speaking about our metaphysical experiences that seem so way out there to other people, but in truth, it's part of our natural human spiritual nature. And they'll find out too when they start. And
Yes.
so the more we talk about these things, it might shock people at first, but when they do have their own experiences, they'll remember, oh, I've heard about this.
Yeah. And I think I think what you just said, I've been experiencing over the last couple of months, and I think a lot of us have, and I think that we are the first wave, and not even the first wave, we're the third or fourth or fifth or whatever, but we are a wave of souls that are here to learn, grow, and understand it and experience in order to teach that what we know. For a long time, I had known that I was a star seed and I had a mission and a purpose and a reason for being here, and that my life wasn't for nothing. There was a reason I was here. And even given that I knew that through a shamanic journey, I was shown why I'm here, some of my purpose, my reason, my mission. Even given all that, and my connection to Jesus and all of that, and the Pleiadians, there was still moments I didn't want to be here. There have been moments even after that I felt like I don't want to be here. This is really messed up. I don't fit in. I don't belong here. I'm an outsider. I'm a black sheep. My family doesn't want to know me. They've given me enough problems, and yet because of my book, they don't want to know me. So then I had this moment of, oh my God, and I'm here for this moment on earth, the ascension, this moment, this period in history with all of this stuff that's going on now. I'm here to bring in and incorporate all of those things that I am into this time now. That's why I'm here. And that ignited something in me that made me want to be here. Like, wow. We're transmuters, aren't we? We're here to transmute energy. We're here to be way showers, to be game changers, to help humanity to raise the frequency of the planet. It's just, I can't think of a more beautiful time that I would want to be here.
Now I'm going to be putting your contact information below this video. I would also, besides your book, I would recommend that people contact you either via your email or go on Facebook if you are interested in joining her Starseed community. Thank you so much for your time. I love you.
Thank you, April. I love you too. I love you.
You have a wonderful evening, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.